Hi everyone, today Diana and I will be discussing the 3 articles assigned in the Native Americans discussion. There are 3 articles. The first article is by Michael Green and it focuses on the moral and ethical issues of using Native American images in advertising, highlighting how it strips away their humanity and respect. The second article is written by Dolph Hatfield and he concentrates on the stereotyping in sports and advertising, highlighting racial discrimination and impact on Native American self-esteem. And the third article is written by Deborah Merskin, and she examines the persistence of stereotyping in advertising brands using theoretical frameworks to analyze how these images perpetuate racism and create consumer blind spots. Article 1, Images of American Indians in Advertising, Some Moral Issues. Green highlights the problem of the ethical and moral issues in advertising today. He states that the problem or the ethical issues of using Native American images in advertising. He highlights the 3 savage stereotypes: the noble savage, the civilized savage, and the bloodthirsty savage. Advertisers use them as themes to get back to nature, be enlightened, and sports teams use them as bloodthirsty mascots. These stereotypes are not only inaccurate, but are harmful to the Native Americans' moral standing. Green states that these concepts deny that they are human beings. These portrayals have ethical implications, contributing to the marginalization and dehumanization of Native American communities. Green calls for advertisers to recognize their moral responsibility in shaping public perceptions and to move away from such stereotypes. The 3 central stereotypes that Green identifies are the noble savage, which is closer to nature, pure. The noble savage is portrayed as living in harmony with nature. Think natural, wholesome, and healthy. Next is the civilized savage. They are seen as enlightened. They are redeemable, teachable, suggest that Native Americans can be assimilated into Western culture. Next is the bloodthirsty savage. They are depicted as fierce, predatory, and cultureless, an uncultured savage. Green pointed out that the civilized savage and the bloodthirsty savage stereotypes both include the need to become civilized. He states that using such stereotypes is morally unacceptable and denies the concept that Native Americans are human beings. Why are these stereotypes so harmful? Green pointed out the importance of culture in human existence and the ethical implications of how it is represented. Green pointed out some main points. Culture is presented as how humans realize their humanity. A human needs understanding of its culture. Images show Native Americans lacking culture and are perceived as savages without morals. Each generation transmits its accomplishments, experience, and knowledge to the next. This process of refinement and modification leads to the evolution of culture. A big misconception is that groups with different cultures have no culture. In the following slides, we will look at how stereotypes have been used inappropriately in advertising. I want to preface our ad examples first that we were unable to get them to play within the YouTube video. However, we have submitted the PowerPoint presentation and I encourage you to go to that PowerPoint to play the ads because they are good examples of the stereotypes. Regardless, the first ad example is quite recent. The Dior Sauvage ad was released in August 2019 and was canceled just 1 month later in September due to backlash over its depiction of Native American culture. This aligns closely with the ethical concerns and moral arguments presented in Green's article on the representation of Native Americans in advertising. Even the name of the cologne, Sauvage, which translates to savage, further compounded the issue, linking Native American culture to a derogatory term. The next ad is from 1976, an advertisement for Mazola margarine with Native American imagery and the phrase, "You call it corn, we call it maize." This ad minimizes the Native American culture and agriculture knowledge and highlights a mass-produced product for civilized use. Green argues that ads like these are harmful as they simplify and misrepresent Native American culture, reducing them to marketing tools. In this next example, it is of the bloodthirsty savage. Green pointed out that the bloodthirsty savage stereotype highlighted that because Native Americans had a different culture, it was assumed they had no culture. In this 20th century Winchester ad, a Native American was depicted in traditional attire with a rifle. The traditional attire was made from animal hides, which was different and perceived to lack civilized behavior, an uncultured savage that lacked morals. This portrayal reduces Native Americans to a single negative stereotype. This last ad is from 1970 and was used for a nationwide Keep America Beautiful campaign. Green mentioned this ad in the article as one that became popular for Getting Back to Nature campaign, which is used as a noble savage stereotype. Ironically, the government used this image to promote America's pollution problem while reinforcing harmful stereotypes. The commercial use of savage images in advertising perpetuates harmful stereotypes. These images depict Native Americans as primitive and cultureless, which denies their humanity and moral standing. For instance, the Mazola margarine ad romanticized Native American culture, while the Winchester ad depicted them as violent, bloodthirsty savages. The Dior's Sauvage ad used Native American imagery in an exploitive manner. These oversimplified portrayals diminish complex cultures and raise ethical concerns. It's crucial for advertisers to commit to respectful, accurate representations and foster a more inclusive society. As we close out Article 1, we had some questions. How can media help people recognize and challenge stereotypes in advertising? What role should education play in this process? Can you identify any advertising campaigns that have successfully and respectfully represented Native American culture? Please let us know in the articles. Article 2 was the stereotyping of Native Americans. Hatfield examined the various ways in which Native Americans have been stereotyped in media and advertising. Hatfield explained the historical context of these stereotypes and the persistence in modern times, especially in sports and advertising. Hatfield argues these stereotypes are ingrained in American culture and have significant impact on the perception and treatment of Native Americans. Calls for a more accurate and respectful representation of Native Americans in all forms of media. Some of the very specific examples that Hatfield used in the article were sports teams such as Cleveland Indians, Atlanta Braves, Washington Redskins, and products such as Jeep Cherokee, the Apache helicopter, and Crazy Horse malt liquor.
Stereotyping has severe effects on Native Americans, contributing to issues like alcoholism and high suicide rates. The stereotype of the drunken savage not only distorts reality, but also discourages individuals from seeking help. The chart from the CDC shows that many Native Americans seek mental health services but still face significant problems finding help. Here are some of the questions we proposed for the Article 2. Considering that some Native American tribal chiefs and other individuals do not view the use of Native American images and names in sports and advertising as discriminatory, how should we balance these perspectives with the views of those who find such representations offensive and harmful? What criteria should be used to this? Would FSU fall under this category? Does the Seminole tribe feel that the use of the Chief Osceola is an honor or a negative stereotype? Now in Article 3, some main points covered are American advertising brands perpetrate stereotypes of Native Americans. Some examples would be Jeep Cherokee and Crazy Horse malt liquor. These brands try to evoke romanticized and often inaccurate notions of the past. Study uses McCracken's meaning transfer model and Barth's semiotic analysis to show how these images reinforce stereotypes and contribute to consumer blind spot. Need for greater awareness and changes in how Native American images are used in advertising. McCracken's meaning transfer model is a theoretical framework that explains how the meanings associated with cultural products are projected onto consumers and how these meanings influence their decision-making. McCracken's meaning transfer model consists of three main points: the source of meaning, transfer to product, and transfer to consumer. Barth's semiotics analysis shows how signs create meaning in many different ways. This process illustrates how media and brands can shape our perceptions, and in this case, it can be applied to how Native American culture is skewed. The 5 main points are signifier and signified, denotation and connotation, myth, cultural codes, and reader's interpretation. These stereotypes are examined in Article 3, but also prominent in Article 1, including that of a noble savage. Noble but primitive, ads use Native American imagery to sell products, such as the Dior ad. A civilizable savage can be civilized through assimilation. A bloodthirsty savage depicts Native Americans as violent and barbaric, often used as mascots. And an Indian princess, exotic, noble, and pure, submissive and eager to assimilate to Western culture, and this stereotype reduces their complex identities to simplistic and often sexualized images. Here are some examples of how advertisers can negatively reflect Native American culture with this Crazy Horse malt liquor. This brand has stirred controversy by using the name and image of the renowned Lakota leader, Crazy Horse. Many Native Americans find this offensive. The advertisement has faced significant backlash for its cultural insensitivity and for perpetuating harmful stereotypes about Native Americans. Moreover, using Crazy Horse's image to promote alcohol is particularly problematic, considering his historical opposition to alcohol and its devastating effects on his community. The use of Native American imagery in advertising can lead to cultural appropriation, as elements of their culture are used without permission or respect. Advertisements like Crazy Horse malt liquor reinforce harmful stereotypes of Native Americans as wild and aggressive, negatively impacting public perception and self-identity of Native communities. Advertisers have a responsibility to avoid such stereotypes and to represent Native American cultures accurately and respectfully. Promoting positive representation, advertisers should strive to promote positive and accurate representations of Native American cultures, working in collaboration with Native communities to ensure authenticity and respect. Here's another example of a brand that misappropriates Native American culture. The Land O'Lakes Maiden is a negative stereotype because it simplifies and romanticizes Native American culture, reducing it to a single and idealized image. This imagery is for commercial gain and perpetuates outdated stereotypes. But luckily, Land O'Lakes has updated their branding and they no longer use this idealized image. Brands are slowly starting to change. For instance, as we previously discussed, Land O'Lakes has removed Native American imagery from their advertising. Other brands have also updated their practices to be more culturally sensitive. And some of the questions we decided to ask for reflective purposes on Article 3 are the following. How do everyday objects and cultural narratives act as nonverbal articulations of racism? And what are some current examples that show societal attitudes toward Native Americans? In what ways do these objects misrepresent Native American culture? And how do they shape and influence Western perceptions of it? How can advertisers be more mindful of this representation to avoid perpetuating stereotypes?